back to our second hour here on World Crisis Radio, and we have a few more elements of economic analysis, but let's now turn to our usual feature here on the constitutional defense front. Now, we had Obama giving his speech on immigration this week and talking about the situation of undocumented foreign workers or illegal aliens, and the irony was not lost on some of us that he might well fit into this category himself. That's where all the evidence seems to point. So on this and the related question of how you organize for the later part of the year, we want to remember that if you want to knock Obama off balance for this horrendous lame duck period, the scandals have got to escalate, and this is one of the main scandals. So let's go to Philadelphia and get the latest news here from Phil Berg, the distinguished attorney who started this issue, approaching now approximately 2 years ago next month. 2 years ago, August, Phil Berg opened this up. So what's new on the constitutional front, Phil?
Well, unfortunately, this week the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the lower court and therefore ruled against us on my False Claims Act or qui tem case against Obama. All this information is on our website, which is obamacrimes.com. That's the case where I allege that Obama is not a natural-born citizen, not naturalized, but an illegal alien, and therefore he could not have served as a United States Senator, and that money should go back to the U.S. Treasury. They just affirmed with no opinion, basically, and we weren't surprised. We're going to ask for a court en banc. That's the entire court to hear our case. I don't know. They'll probably turn us down because the courts have been against us, but then we have to do a writ of certiorari to the U.S. Supreme Court. The only problem with that, the Supreme Court does not have to take the case. They should take the case because these type cases I would have standing by the ruling before, and this is the issue of conflict of interest where I ruled that Eric Holder has a conflict of interest in that when you file these type cases, the Justice Department attorneys and the U.S. Attorney's Office makes a decision, and their decision was here not to prosecute. They have three decisions to make. They could prosecute themselves, give it to the person bringing the action, the relator or me in this instance, or dismiss the case. Very few cases are dismissed, but they decide to dismiss this case. And I raised the issue, and I think it's paramount for your listeners to understand, I raised the issue of conflict of interest. And the reason even Eric Holder this past week, he went off to Afghanistan, the first attorney general ever to go into a war zone, I believe it is, or even out of the country to talk about anything political. Well, Eric Holder makes the decision, so the conflict of interest, in our opinion, is that, number one, he was a senior member of Obama's campaign staff. Number two, he was one of three individuals selected by Obama to select a vice president and who selected Joe Biden. And then the third was that he was nominated and confirmed as Attorney General, which is the highest law enforcement officer in the country, who reports to the president. So if there's no conflict of interest in that particular circumstance, we should eliminate the words conflict of interest from our legal dictionaries. So it's really outrageous. It really is. But with this behind our belts and along with everything else he's saying, including his speech with immigration, I mean, the immigration speech, it's like Obama's in a different land. You know, he talks about things and, he paints a rosy picture, which are not the facts, and that's why he's dropping in the polls. We unfortunately don't have a date yet. I'm working with a Gary Krept. I'm not sure if you know Gary from out in California, and I don't have his group name in front of me, but unfortunately he just had a quadruple bypass this week. We wish him well on that, but we're going to firm the date up soon, but we really feel we're going to have more and more people join in our effort. Right now it's going to be called the birth certificate, Obama birth certificate, eligibility, and Obamacare. And there's so many other things we can add to it, this immigration. I mean, what's he trying to do in immigration? He talks about that's the most secure border that we've in history. There's more people on the border. There's more people coming across this border. They have no intentions of sealing this border. And what he wants to do is give amnesty to everybody so that he has more Democratic votes. I'm a Democrat, but you know what? I'm tired of the politics. I think we should throw everyone out of Washington and start over because they're not out for our interest. But we're going to do everything we can with the Constitution. The Constitution, the important parts there are we the people. And the 10th Amendment, anything not dealt with anyplace else, goes back to we the people. And this is significant for everyone out there because whatever your issue is with Obama, it all reverts back to my issue. And my issue is not my issue, it's our issue, and that is that he's constitutionally ineligible to be president. Therefore, either through the court system or by public pressure, when we get Obama out of office, everything he's done since he's been in office is void or voidable, which is significant because he's really destroying our Constitution. He is destroying this country. He's sending this country in a wrong fashion. Just the basics where he went around the world on tour apologizing for the United States, where he bowed down to the Saudi king, where he bowed down to the Japanese empire, where he bowed down to the leader from China recently. These things are not someone who's really interested in the United States of America. And as I spoke to a guard today up at the courthouse, he was still insulted by the fact that when Obama was running for president, he wouldn't even stand and salute the flag. Everyone else is saluting the flag and joining the national anthem out in the West, and Obama's standing there with his hands down to his side.
Well, of course, that was a way to curry favor with Democratic primary voters who at that point were maybe understandably fed up with Bush's posturing and patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. The thing that I think we could point to, for example, Obama goes to Canada for the G20 and says he's going to come back and cut the U.S. deficit in half in 3 years. That's $750 billion. This has genocidal overtones against the American people. This means health and other considerations that won't be there in the name of what? In the name of pleasing these financiers and hedge funds who decided that there's too much debt. You see what I mean? I think you can approach Obama from a number of points of view, and I think if you follow what he actually does, you can see this pattern. Plus, the lame duck session where it looks like he's going to try to destroy Social Security. That's where this commission is going, right? So he claims to be the new FDR, and his main contribution is to destroy the main contribution of FDR to the well-being of the American people.
Well, he's going to try a lot, and that's why it's very significant that we rally together since we get this march together and have the largest march in Washington, D.C. history to force Obama out of office or to put so much pressure on that the Democrats, who in case they lose in the fall, everyone's talking during the time that their loss is between November and January, they're going to shove things through the Congress. Right. We have to show that we, the people, will not stand for that. And that's why it's so important. We are in such critical times now. We're in a constitutional crisis, and Obama is really a disaster for our country, be it on Social Security, on the medical. I can't think of one positive area that he has done good when you look at the whole picture. When you look at even student loans, he's now taken that over by the federal government. GE, General Motors, he's taken over by the federal government. He is doing so many things to the detriment of this nation, and we have to wake up, America, and don't say it doesn't affect me, because if it doesn't affect you today, it will affect you tomorrow. But the health care bill affects. There's doctors closing down their offices now because of what's going on. I mean, I could go on with you, Webster, on so many issues here, but the big issue is, and the way really to get to them, get the Tea Party people on with us, and I've had contact with a number of Tea Party people, is the fact that Obama is not constitutionally eligible to be president. Even if he was born in Hawaii, he loses it when his parents divorce, his mother remarries, and he's adopted in Indonesia. We have those records on our website, obamacrimes.com. It's significant because his name there is Barry Soturo, and his nationality is Indonesia. If he hasn't legally changed his name, he's a fraud every time, an imposter every time he's used the name Barack Hussein Obama.
Right you are. Well, Bill Burke, a great voice and a great cause, and we hope to get that date set, and happy 4th of July, and we'll see you soon next week.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, and we'll be back in a minute.